Good morning. Coming to you from the middle of a heat wave. It's a balmy 9 this morning, so a lot warmer than yesterday. But when you breathe, the ice crystals form. So I I was thinking about yesterday's message. Hold on a second. I have to put my glove on here. I don't. When I got done with yesterday's video and turned it off, my fingers were aching because they were so cold, and I had my glove on while I was shooting the video, which is very strange. But anyway, yesterday I was thinking about the how I kept saying the stupid rules or whatever that I had grown accustomed to following, along as I went through life, and that really got me thinking about some of the foundational rules that I've clung to and that have impacted kind of all my behavior over the first 50 years. And I thought it would be interesting to start talking about some of those because I think anybody that can recognize and look at it a little bit differently might save themselves from a lot of pain, or at least it did for me. And I would say the very first big foundational rule that I started to follow was trust authority, right? And obviously you're forced to when you're first born and when you're being brought up in those early years, but I think that continues to carry on throughout your life. But I always felt as though I had this like red hot wire that ran between the part in my brain that would cause, that would result in my behavior, and actually somebody trying to assert authority over me. And I've said a lot that I'm kind of a natural contrarian and whatever. I don't really have any flight in me. It's all fight, and that's just the way I felt. So when somebody tries to tell me to do something, it's like my dander gets up and I will push back. And I started to think about that, and I'm sure when you hear, like, nobody ever said trust but don't question authority. They said trust authority. And I think the way that we receive that message and start to mold our life over is depending on where we are on that continuum. So, in my being, who I am as a human, I'm a little bit more of somebody that's going to push back a little bit more. Where other people who are a little more kind of accustomed to following rules, which is, thank God, we probably need more of those people, but they're going to err more on the side of trusting authority. But obviously, it's extremely important to question authority. And each of us are going to have different abilities to sense things, but I've actually met a couple, or come across a couple con men throughout my my business career. And I can remember almost from the moment of meeting these people that I just had a little bit of a feeling of unease, and I didn't know why. And but then I just always kind of had my guard up, and then usually, or what ended up happening was after, a few months, like, I figured it out, and then it was really easy to spot all the evidence surrounding it. But like, that's happened on 2 different occasions, and actually 3 that I can think of now, because my business partner at one point said to me, he goes, because I said to him, I said, I just think there's something about this person. We need to be careful. And he's like, oh my gosh, you think everyone's that way? And I'm like, not everyone, dude. I said, and the ones that I thought were, and come to find out, there was yet another occasion. But like I said, I think some of us just have the ability to sense different things that are going on or pick up on different pieces of information. So I look at kind of my desire to push back or question authority as something that is just part of my DNA, part of my makeup. But that does not mean that that's comfortable in the face of other things. Like, when you're questioning authority, you're making people feel really uncomfortable. and putting yourself in a position where you could potentially be embarrassed or whatever. But if you care about what other people think is at a heightened alert, and mine is, even though I say I don't care what other people think, all of us do. Or at least I've not met very many people who don't, and I think if you don't, you're probably considered a psychopath. So, but yeah, it's when you question authority, there's nothing wrong with that. Like you don't have to fit in a certain mold. But for the longest time, until now, I've allowed that to impact, the way I think inside and the way I feel inside after an event where I have questioned authority or whatever. And it tore me up. But I'm finally getting to the point where I recognize questioning authority is a good thing. I mean, that helps you navigate those pedophile-infested waters, helps you navigate those shady business dealings that someone might be trying to bring you in on, helps you navigate like any number of huge missteps you could make. But yeah, it's very important to question authority, and it's good to, and it doesn't, like, if nobody questions authority, then things are just gonna go down a really, really bad path. And right before we left on our journey, obviously that was the first time, other than basic laws that you have to obey, that the government had ever asserted any type of demand that I could recall. And we listened because we wanted to do what was in our own best interest, or in the community's best interest. But over time, what we recognized was, if we're working here at the kitchen table safely, why couldn't we be sitting by a campfire or in an RV in our own confined space safely? But that pressure to not question authority and not do something different was so hard, or was so firm, that it literally had us afraid of letting other people know what we were doing. So it was really interesting. We were so concerned about what, like we were going to be the people that are pushing back against authority. But nothing wrong with that. You can be just as safe. There's not just one prescription. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. I am happy that I'm going to control the way I question authority, because I want to do it with empathy from this point going forward. But I'm not going to feel bad about questioning authority, and I'm not going to hesitate to question authority if that sensor is telling me that it's the right thing to do. So that's it. That's one of the things that's really going to help me live my life a brand new way, and I think a much more relaxed way. Thanks. Have a good one.